And you can do it without writing anything down. And you can remember everything you can.
Sandra Bullock, America's sweetheart, the woman who made us believe in love through the proposal, laugh until we cried in miscongeniality, and hold our breath in gravity, has conquered Hollywood with a smile that could light up the darkest room. At 61, she stands as one of the most beloved actresses of our generation, with an estimated net worth of $250 million and a career spanning over 3 decades. But behind that radiant smile and infectious laugh lies a story not glamorous, but brutal. A story of devastating loss, heartbreaking betrayal, and tragic circumstances that would have broken anyone else. This is the story of a woman who lost everything: her father, her privacy, her marriage, and most recently, her life partner, yet somehow found the strength to rise again. Not because it was easy, but because she had no other choice. If Sandra Bullock has ever made you believe in second chances, hit like as tribute to her resilience. This is the story of a girl from Arlington, Virginia, who conquered Hollywood, survived public humiliation, rebuilt her life as a single mother, and faced the unimaginable loss of her partner, all while maintaining the grace that made us fall in love with her in the first place. Sandra Annette Bullock was born on July 26, 1964, in Arlington, Virginia, not to wealth, not to stability, but to chaos dressed as glamour. Her mother, Helga Meyer, was a German opera singer. Her father, John Bullock, was an American voice coach. The family moved constantly, following Helga's opera career across Europe. By age 5, Sandra had lived in Nuremberg, Vienna, Salzburg, and Stuttgart. It sounds exotic. It was lonely. Sandra spent her childhood backstage in opera houses, watching her mother perform while other children played in parks. She attended Waldorf School in Nuremberg, where she struggled to fit in, caught between two cultures, never fully belonging to either. Her German classmates saw her as American. Americans would later see her as different. The beginning was not glamorous, but isolating. Sandra learned early that survival meant adaptation, that fitting in required becoming whoever people needed you to be. A lesson that would serve her well in Hollywood and cost her dearly in love. Her parents' marriage was tumultuous. John and Helga fought constantly, their artistic temperaments clashing in small European apartments while Sandra pretended not to. Here, by 12, she was performing in small opera productions alongside her mother, not because she loved opera, but because it meant her mother noticed her. When the family finally settled in Arlington in Sandra's teens, she felt like a stranger in her own country. She attended Washington Lee High School, where her European upbringing made her an outsider. She turned to acting, the one place where being different was an asset. Sandra attended East Carolina University, studying drama, before moving to New York City in 1986 at age 22. The dream was simple: Broadway. The reality was brutal. She waited tables, took acting classes she could barely afford, and lived in a Manhattan apartment so small she could touch both walls with her arms spread. For 3 years, she auditioned constantly, rejection after rejection. Too pretty for serious roles, not pretty enough for leading lady parts. Too tall, not tall enough. The feedback contradicted itself, but the answer was always the same: no. Then came 1993, Demolition Man, opposite Sylvester Stallone, earned her $500,000 and put her on Hollywood's radar. But it was 1994 that changed everything. Speed, a thriller about a bus that couldn't slow down, paired her with Keanu Reeves. The budget was $30 million. The box office, $350 million worldwide. Suddenly, Sandra Bullock was a star. But Hollywood doesn't hand you a crown without demanding payment. Between 1994 and 2000, Sandra worked relentlessly. While You Were Sleeping 1995 earned $182 million. A Time to Kill 1996 showcased her dramatic range. Hope Floats 1998 proved she could carry a film alone. The paychecks grew: $2 million, then $5 million, then $10 million per film. By 2000, she was one of Hollywood's highest-paid actresses. She was also exhausted, lonely, and questioning whether fame was worth the price. Then came 2009, The Blind Side, a film about Lee and Tui, a woman who adopted a homeless teenager who became an NFL star. Sandra earned $5 million upfront. The film made $309 million. More importantly, it earned her an Academy Award for Best Actress on March 7, 2010, at age 45. She stood on that stage, holding her Oscar, smiling that signature smile. The world saw triumph. The truth was different. 5 days after winning the Oscar, 5 days, Sandra's world exploded. On March 12, 2010, In Touch Weekly published a story. Jesse James, Sandra's husband of nearly 5 years, had been unfaithful. Not once, multiple times, with multiple women. While Sandra was filming The Blind Side, while she was winning awards, while she was thanking him in speeches. But it gets worse. Sandra and Jesse had been in the process of adopting a baby boy, Louis, born in January 2010 in New Orleans. The adoption wasn't finalized. As the scandal broke, Sandra faced an impossible choice: proceed with the adoption as a suddenly single woman, or return the 3-month-old baby she'd already bonded with. What few people know is that Sandra had suffered multiple miscarriages in her 30s. Motherhood wasn't a choice for her. It was a desperate need, a dream deferred by biology. Louis represented everything she'd wanted and thought she'd finally have. On April 28, 2010, Sandra announced her separation from Jesse James. In the same statement, she revealed she was proceeding with Louis's adoption. Alone, the world saw strength. Behind closed doors, Sandra was broken. She disappeared from public life. For 18 months, she raised Louis in privacy, healing from a betrayal that played out in every tabloid in America. Friends later revealed she barely slept, terrified that Louis's adoption would be challenged, that she wasn't enough for him. But Sandra Bullock doesn't stay down. In 2013, she adopted a second child, Lila, a 3-year-old girl from Louisiana's foster care system. She built a family from the wreckage of her marriage, not because it was easy, but because she refused to let Jesse James steal her dream of motherhood. Then, slowly, she found love again. Brian Randall, a photographer from Portland, Oregon, entered her life in 2015. He was hired to photograph Louis's 5th birthday party. What began as a professional relationship became something deeper. Ryan was different, quiet, private, more interested in Sandra than her fame. For 8 years, they built a life together. Brian became a father figure to Louis and Lila. Sandra found something she thought she'd lost forever: peace. On August 5, 2023, that peace shattered. Brian Randall died at age 57 after a 3-year private battle with ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. The diagnosis had come in 2020. For 3 years, Sandra watched the man she loved deteriorate, his body failing while his mind remained sharp. She cared for him at home, shielding Louis and Lila from the worst of it, maintaining her career to provide normalcy for her children. The world didn't know. Ryan's family released a statement. Brian chose early to keep his journey with ALS private, and those of us who cared for him did our best to honor his request. Sandra had learned from 2010. This time, she grieved privately. It is heartbreaking when someone who has already lost so much must face loss again, when the universe seems to specifically target those who have already survived the unsurvivable. But there's more. In December 2013, Sandra's father, John Bullock, passed away. The man who had encouraged her acting dreams, who had been her first acting coach, died while she was rebuilding her life after Jesse. She flew to Alabama for his funeral, brought Louis, and delivered a eulogy that few heard, but those present say was the most honest thing she'd ever said. Between 2010 and 2023, Sandra Bullock faced public humiliation, single motherhood, her father's death, and her partner's terminal illness. Each would have broken most people. She kept going. Today, at 61, Sandra Bullock lives in Beverly Hills and New Orleans, where she owns multiple properties worth a combined estimated $25 million. But homes aren't what define her life anymore. Louis is now 14. Lila is 12. Sandra's entire world revolves around them. She hasn't appeared in a film since 2022's The Lost City, which earned $192 million worldwide. Instead, she's chosen something Hollywood rarely allows its stars: a break. In interviews before Brian's death, Sandra spoke about wanting to focus on her children during their crucial teenage years. After his passing, that decision became even more important. Louis and Lila lost the only father figure they'd known. Sandra became everything for them: mother, father, anchor. She still owns Fortis Films, her production company, which she founded in 1995. Recent reports suggest she's developing projects from behind the camera, mentoring young actresses, using her power to create opportunities rather than chase them. Friends say she's found peace, though it's different from before. It's not the peace of happiness, but of acceptance. She's learned that life doesn't promise happy endings, only the strength to survive unhappy middles. Sandra is also intensely philanthropic, though she keeps it quiet. After Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans in 2005, she donated $1 million to the American Red Cross. After the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, another $1 million. After the September 11th attacks, $1 million. After the 2010 Haiti earthquake, $1 million. The pattern is clear. When tragedy strikes, Sandra responds with the kind of generosity that suggests someone who understands loss intimately. She's been spotted recently in Los Angeles, taking Louis and Lila to school, grocery shopping, living the unglamorous life of a single mother. No paparazzi chases, no red carpets, just a woman who chose her children over her career at the exact moment. Hollywood would have forgiven her for doing the opposite. At 61, Sandra Bullock stands as proof that survival isn't about avoiding tragedy. It's about refusing to let tragedy define you. From Arlington, Virginia, to Hollywood, from the humiliation of 2010 to the private grief of 2023, from a broken marriage to a family built on love rather than biology, she could have become bitter. She chose grace. She could have hidden from the world. She chose to keep showing up, not because the world deserved it, but because Louis and Lila needed a mother who modeled resilience. If this story touched your heart, leave a tribute below. Share a moment when Sandra Bullock's strength reminded you that it's possible to be broken and beautiful simultaneously, that you can lose everything and still have enough love left to build again. That Hollywood's sweetheart earned that title not through perfect movies, but through imperfect, courageous living. Sandra once said, "I've learned that success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get." At 61, she is both, not because life was kind, but because she refused to let cruelty make her cruel. That's not a Hollywood ending. That's something better. That's real.